Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instruction on completing the task at hand. Visit my YouTube channel and watch my disclaimer video. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you find the information you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. This 2003 Jaguar XJ8 has a problem that one of the brake lights stays on continually. So the owner of the car has been popping the trunk and pulling the bulb out, because if they don't, the brake light will stay on and it'll run down the battery overnight or something like that. So I'm going to show you a fix that I did for it. It's not a proper repair. The actual problem with the taillight assembly is there's a computer module that controls all of the taillights, and it may have something to do with the security system as well, I mentioned on one post. Well, when that control module has a malfunction, it'll cause a brake light to come on and stay on continuously. I don't know if it's the same brake light on the passenger side or not, but it does happen. And to properly fix it, you have to purchase another computer and then replace it and have it programmed to the car, from what I was told by Jaguar. Now the part is $600 and it is no longer available on this car, so they normally have to source a used one, and then it's like $250 to program. So even with going through the dealer with a used part, they told me the estimate was $560. Now, the fix that I decided to do, because the owner doesn't want to put $600 into fixing this minor problem, is I'm going to find out what wires, if possible, supply the power to that brake light bulb, and figure that out on the other side as well. And then I'm going to disconnect the wire that's running the bulb all the time, and I'm going to jump the one that's defective from the other side of the car that's working properly. Now that will probably trip a bulb failure light in the dash, but the owner is okay with having a bulb failure light versus having this bulb on all the time, where they keep having to go back here and unplugging it and plugging it back in when they drive. Now, if you want to fix this the proper way, you would need to remove this panel here inside the trunk to gain access, and this is on the passenger side. Let me get this up here. To gain access to the battery compartment, which also has the computer for this taillight assembly down in here. It's got a couple latches on the front. Pop those latches up, and then you pull that, looks like a 10mm bolt there, and 2 bolts down the side there, and this whole assembly lifts up. When you lift up this fuel panel assembly, you'll see the computer for the taillight assembly on the bottom side of that, and it just simply unplugs and plugs back in. These are the tools you need to bypass that brake light problem on these Jaguars. You need the wire cutters, a pair of scissors to cut your wire the length you need it, a pair of pliers to crimp your splices, flat tip screwdrivers, some 18 to 24 gauge wire, some wire splice connections, and an ohm meter. So here in the tail light, you can see that the bulb is lit. So what you want to do is open the trunk and access the back side of the bulb assembly. First thing you'll see is the cover here. So you reach in here, you lift up this little plastic tab and work the cover off. Then you'll see the entire brake light assembly. Next thing you want to do is work that loose and out. It's got a little latch here. You turn that a quarter turn and pull the light assembly out. Once you get the light assembly out, you'll see that bulb out and shining bright in the tail light assembly. So I've taken my ohm meter. I'm gonna hold my black one on the ground on the car which will be fine to put right there on that screw. I'm going to take this red one and back probe it through that wiring harness there until I see my gauge register some voltage on the gauge. So I'm going to hold the black one here. I'm going to back probe these wires with the red one, and as soon as I get voltage or 12 volts on this ohm meter, I'll know that's the wire that is getting power and running that light even though the car is turned off and no key is in the ignition. It turns out that I'm getting voltage here at this second wire, which is a orange and yellow wire, or orange wire with a yellow strip. Now that I've figured out which wire is supplying power, I'm going to come to the other side of the taillight assembly and I'm going to test those wires, make sure none of those are hot. Then I'm going to apply the brakes from inside the car, which should activate the brake lights even though the key's not in it. If not, I'll put the key in it and put the brakes on. And then whatever wire connects and gives me voltage for the brake light, that's the one that I'm going to take and jump to the other side of the taillight assembly. In order to get the driver's side brake light to come on, I actually had to turn the ignition on in the car, and I used a couple of toolboxes to put pressure on the brake pedal and pried the boxes in between the seat and the pedal and got the light on. Once I got that brake light to come on, I back probed those wires, and I actually found that the blue wire had power to it, making the brake light come on. So I'm going to come over here to the driver's side, and I'm going to snip that orange and yellow wire and make sure that light goes out. I'm going to snip it in the middle, not too close to the ends, so I can do splicing. Then I'm going to splice the blue wire from the other side over to this orange and yellow wire and see if it will cause that light to function properly, even though it will likely trip a fault inside the dash saying that there's a bulb out in the braking system. So I have some insulated wire cutters. I come over here, I separate this orange and yellow wire so that I don't clip any other wires, and I'm gonna watch that bulb to see if that bulb shuts off when I clip the wire. Sure enough, as you can see, the bulb went out. Now these wires in this taillight assembly are very thin. My guess is they're 22 or 24 gauge, so you don't have to have big gauge strippers, but I got these 18 to 14 gauge. Hopefully they will help me with the splicing process. If not, I may have to strip the wire or double fold them. Then I have some 18 gauge wire, and it'd probably been fine, like I said, to use like a 22 or 24 gauge wire. But these are ones I had, so that's the ones I'm gonna use. Basically, you thread the wire through there and you pinch this thing down with a pair of pliers, and it'll splice into the wire so that it can give you a connection going over through the wire that you're splicing with. So let me go ahead and cut a piece of that off and run it over there. And I'm going to run enough so that I can tuck it down behind the trim and not have wire exposed, so it's a clean splice. Okay, I put the splice on that side, and what you do is you take the wire you're going to splice and you run it through the channel, then you hook the other one up. Then I turn the car on and I tested the other end of this wire to make sure it had power to it, which it did when I applied the brakes. So now I'm going to splice it in to this wire over here on the other side and see if it gives me brake lights on both sides. Okay, I went inside and I activated the brake light on the driver's side. It's on, and as you can see, the one is on the passenger side. So I'm going to go inside the car and pull this toolbox off of the brake light to see if both of those brake lights go back out. And sure enough, I got my brake light out here and my other brake light is out as well, so I should be good to go. To store that wire from that side over to the other side, I tucked it under this trim here that goes across the back of the car. So just run it all the way across the back of the car to the other side. Okay, this back trim has a clip about here, a clip about here, a clip around here, and 3 clips on the other side that you can pry under and pop loose, and then you could just slide that wire under there and then push them back down to re-secure them. So you could run that wire that way, or you could run it down under the trim where most of the other wires are, where the tire change area is, where your spare tire area is. Just get that wire run down there and secure so that it's not flapping around out here with the rest of the traffic. Okay, after you splice into that wire that was live, you want to go ahead and cap it. Piece of electrical tape, some other sorts of wire tie in, so that that wire is not exposed and able to short out somewhere. Okay, I got the light assembly back in place and stowed like that. Got my tail light cover back in place. Now I'm going to close up the trunk and call it a day. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.